Mark. So I want to bring in Jillian and really kind of address the first question that we've been sharing, which is, again, with this whole hybrid workforce circumstance that we're all kind of dealing with, people aren't giving up their corporate office space. There's still going to be that need, right? But now that we're working remote, which new work styles, right, are changing with real estate and technology solutions? I'll give the floor to you, Jillian.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. I would say, the cat's really out of the bag, and it has been for quite some time, that work has been more flexible than, regardless of if it had a formal name or policy attached with it. Work's been distributed and flexible for quite some time. In general, people were used to working from a conference room, from the airport, from a hotel, maybe sometimes from home. But in general, for a long time, work's been happening away from an individual's desk. So with COVID and the pandemic, that really spurned a lot more interest into, hey, we're recognizing that people can work. They do work while away from their actual desk at the office. Now, what do we do about this? So I'd say that, overall work styles have been heading in this direction for quite some time. Now that, corporate America is starting to, and really corporate globally is starting to embrace this concept, corporate real estate facilities, organizations, leaders, they're starting to ask the question now about, all right, well, what happens if we do embrace this flexible work style? For an initial reaction, that's when you started to hear a lot of the headlines and the news companies that said, the office is dead. Nobody's ever going back to the office ever. Luckily, and I think, people have kind of come off of that reactionary response and answer. But we're starting to ask a little bit better question of, okay, let's assume that flexible work is here to stay, which I think is pretty safe to assume, yes, that is the answer. The next question is, how do we support that within our organization? And then how does that actually impact our space requirements moving forward? So I think that the baseline response is that our organizations are understanding that flexibility in this hybrid work environment is really kind of now going to become the new normal. But what that means to them specifically, that's the part where companies are starting to ask the questions. So with these new work styles, there's a few things that we have to assume. One is that there's going to be a decreased focus on an individual workspace. It doesn't really matter if you have a cubicle at this one specific spot, because if we're hybrid, you might be in the office, you might not be in the office. So creating the right type of work productivity environment, regardless of physical location, that's going to be really important for companies moving forward. And then additionally speaking, creating the right user experience. So how easy is it for a person to connect in the office when they're at home, when they're elsewhere? So there's a lot coming in regards to real estate and technology that we haven't completely peeled back the onion yet, but we know there's big changes coming, and we know a lot of it's going to be driven by this work style adaptation to more flexible hybrid approach.